Hey everyone, this is Yerevan of Astrology Healing Arts, and I wanted to share with you some thoughts about the upcoming Venus retrograde and what it means for us, especially when it comes to our health. Venus is a planet that we typically associate with relationships, love, beauty, money, and all of the wonderful things it can buy. These are the main themes that will be undergoing review over the next 3 months or so. It's a very personal planet, and that's why when she goes retrograde, it's a much more palpable sort of thing for us in contrast to something like Mercury going retrograde. And thankfully, it happens less often, about every 19 months. The last time Venus went retrograde in Leo was between August and September of 2015. So if you can think back to what was happening around that time, you'll get an idea of some of the things that will be coming up again soon. But when we experience repeats of any type of transit, it's kind of like reaching a deeper level than before, as if we were peeling the layers of an onion in order to get to the core of a pattern, an emotion, a belief that we carry. So this year, Venus goes retrograde in the sign of Leo at 28 degrees on July 22nd until September 4th, stationing at 12 degrees. We are entering the pre-shadow around June 19th, just before the solstice. And by the end of this whole cycle, Venus will have spent over 4 months in fiery Leo. Now, this is a really great placement for Venus, but because it's going to spend a lot of time retrograde, we get a different sort of feel on it. And she immediately started off with an opposition to Pluto on June 5th, followed by a square to Jupiter on June 11th, and then a square to Uranus on July 2nd coming up. So Venus repeats the square to Uranus on August 9th, and then there will be a special conjunction to the Sun on August 13th at 20 degrees. And then a couple days following, on the 15th, she will be making a conjunction to the Moon. And I think that's going to be a really powerful week. Venus will be repeating her square to Jupiter on August 22nd, and then join in retrogradation by Mercury on the 23rd. So basically, there are two major aspects in effect throughout this period. Her fixed square to Jupiter and her square to Uranus, both currently occupying the sign of Taurus. But first, let me explain that in medical astrology, Venus rules the venous system, the kidneys, the ovaries, and female reproductive system, while Leo rules the heart and spine. Venus also rules blood sugar levels and the appetite in general. So I see the stress aspect to Jupiter as highlighting the need for adequate nutrition and perhaps some adjustments to be made around dietary intake, whether the reason is to lose weight or perhaps rid the body of particular ailments. But this raises the question as to why do we crave sweets so much, especially in Western culture. So much of the food that we find in the grocery markets contain unnecessary amounts of sugar, which has created massive addictions for people of all ages. But again, why are we so addicted to the sugar? Why do we fall prey to this tactic? This is an attack. Any sort of addiction is an attempt to fill a void. Could it be that we are trying to fill the bitterness in our lives with sweetness? And we cannot truly give up the desire for excess sweets and comfort foods until we have truly tapped into our heart's joy. And that's why, when people come to me talking about they want to get on a diet to lose weight or whatever reason they have, there's this saying that it's easier for the human mind, to think in terms of adding than subtracting. So what are you going to add to fill its place, instead of saying, oh, I'm not going to touch that, I shouldn't have that, and oh boy, no, it just creates this whole taboo sort of shame, thing where we have to discipline ourselves even more. And I really actually think that Venus retrograde in Leo may assist us in this endeavor by pointing out what we feel is missing in our lives and how we can, tap into that joy. So the square to Uranus could point to more erratic sort of issues with the circulation, the bioelectrical system, and hydration, especially since Leo, where she's transiting, is a very hot sign. For women whose personal planets are being affected, there could be attention drawn toward certain feminine complaints, or it could be a time of focus around healing hormonal imbalances, for example. Emotionally, Venus retrograde in Leo could really tug on the heartstrings and cause us to question various areas of our lives where we don't feel quite fulfilled, or where we feel frustrated or appear to be taken for granted. People may be taking a closer look at whether or not they are being paid what they're worth, or whether they actually enjoy what they do for a living. Or in some cases, how strong is the bond of trust in their closest relationships? Some people may realize that they are literally starving for love and affection, or that they are starving for a greater sense of their spiritual purpose in the world. Physically, one might find that they are literally malnourished and in need of greater sustenance overall. So this would be the time to address that. What needs to be added to, to the diet, or to the life plan? What needs to be added to life to make it sweeter, more functional, to flow more easily? Because, Venus is about bringing ease and harmony and enjoyment to our lives. So how can we do that? How can we make this more of a pleasant experience all the way around? To better understand how Venus retrograde will affect you personally, you can look to the house in your natal chart where she will be transiting. And also be sure to check any planets between 12 and 28 degrees in your chart, or 28 to 12. To see the aspects that will be made to them by Venus throughout this period. Obviously, those with Leo planets or planets in any of the fixed signs within these degrees will probably have some major themes coming up already this month now. But there should be a culmination of what has been taking place by the first week of October this year. By then, we will have exited the post-shadow of Venus in retrograde. I hope you've all enjoyed this talk, and that this coming transit of Venus retrograde through Leo brings you valuable insights, emotional healing, and the resurfacing of long-lost treasures, both tangible and timeless in nature.